This is the Palin Update on SaraNet Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
And we must stand on the life-honoring foundation of our very republic, and we must speak out against actions that erode that foundation. Don't be afraid to speak up.
Sarah Palin fights for life. She fights for the unborn. Many of the governor's supporters do the same thing, contributing to pro-life candidates, volunteering for pro-life groups, and supporting pro-life causes. Now, a new film is out that is sure to be a hit with the pro-life community, and perhaps change some minds along the way. October Baby brings to the big screen the message that every life is important. Today, one of the stars of the film is here. Sarah Palin publicly says goodbye to Andrew Breitbart. We'll take a look back at the governor's words. And The Undefeated has a successful premiere on Reels. An encore of the superb Steve Bannon movie will air later this month. October Baby hits theaters on March 23rd, the story of a young woman and her journey after she discovers that she is adopted, and the adoption occurred after a failed abortion attempt. The powerful film follows the main character, Hannah, played by Rachel Hendricks, who learns from her parents she was adopted after the failed attempt, and along the way, Hannah finds that life can be so much more than what you have planned. The film also stars John Schneider, Jasmine Guy, Jason Berkey, Jennifer Price, and Chris Sly. And our very special guest today, Shari Rigby, who plays Cindy, Hannah's birth mother. You may have seen Shari in several indie films or on soaps like The Young and the Restless and The Bold and the Beautiful. But this role takes on a whole new meaning for Rigby because of her own life experiences. Shari Rigby, thank you for being here on the Palin Update on SaraNet Radio.
Thank you.
To say this role hits home for you would be an understatement, Shari. Tell us why playing the birth mother really took you on your own emotional journey in the process.
Well, Kevin, what happened was the Irwins actually had sent me over the script. John Irwin called me and asked me if I would, read the script that they had, and so they sent it over to me. And, it was amazing because from the moment that I printed it out, the picture on the front cover was Rachel Hendricks. And so right away my husband was like, oh, my gosh, this girl really looks like you. And so I dove right in and I started reading the script, and about halfway through it, I realized as I was reading that I was reading the script that paralleled my life 20 years ago. And it was just, it was so incredible to see something just, what you'd gone through 20 years ago in your life. I was working in a law firm. I had been in this relationship. I had decided, to have this abortion, and all the way down to when I was towards the end of reading the script where, I go in and I speak with my husband and I have to tell him that I've done this. And the same thing happened and paralleled my life.
It's unbelievable, the similarities, and for them to not know, working with you in the past and being a friend of the creators of the movie and everything coming together like this. I know you said you felt like receiving this role was God's way of telling you needed to share your story.
Yeah, I really believe it was and is. When you get something like that, especially as a believer, you just believe that it's ordained. I don't think that you can sit down and read something that parallels your life and really brings to the surface something that you haven't talked about in 20 years, and all of a sudden here it is in front of you. I think that's a pretty powerful message, and it became even stronger for me as I started preparing for the role as the birth mother, Cindy Hastings. God just really worked in my life, and He met me, and there was this most amazing time with Him, is where He really just showed me what I was going to do with this role and where it was going to go. And I tell people that it was my moment at the well. He really met me there, and so when you have something like that happen to you, you just know. You're either going to go forward and walk with the Lord in it, or He's just going to keep going past you because He's got a plan.
There's one particular scene in the film, your breakdown scene, as you call it. God helped you there, didn't He?
He did. He did. The most amazing thing about that particular scene is that right prior, to that, Rachel comes in and she plays Hannah. And here I get to see this beautiful young girl, and I'm face to face with her, and I really believe that the child that I aborted was a little girl. And God gave me that. And so when I go into the room and I have this moment and I look down and I see this note, and she's left this note for me, it was the most powerful thing as this little girl, just, and I visualize her as this little girl, like she has written this note, and, I forgive you. And God just met me there. That was mine and his moment. And it was incredible. As long as I live, I will never, ever forget it. I sat there in that scene for probably a good 15 minutes, if not longer, after we were done shooting it.
Can you tell us about a special tattoo you have?
I do. Boy, you have it all. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, I actually have I have a tattoo on the top of my foot, and it's a lily, and that lily signifies a very special time in my life. And my husband and I had tried for many years after our last child was born to have another child, and we couldn't. And so Lily would have been that child. Lily was that child, and this flower on my foot is what just signifies it. So every time I look down, that's what I see.
That would have been the baby's name.
Right, exactly.
Sarah Palin has obviously chosen life, not only moving forward with delivering her fifth child, even though she knew that the baby would have Downs. She also supported her daughter Bristol when she became pregnant as a teen. You must have quite an appreciation for Palin's faith and decision-making in these instances.
Absolutely. And one thing I love about, Bristol was that when, my first baby was born at 17, and so I look at that and I just think, this woman made the right choice. And, those choices are not always easy. It's a long road, but when we have the support of our family, and we know that the Lord is behind us, and we know that we can do this no matter how hard the path is, we can be successful women. And I wish I would have had that more around me when I was going through this point in my life, because that's what made, I really believe, the choice that I did at that time. I didn't have that. I was trying to be successful to the world's views, and I knew that if I had another baby and I wasn't married, and I knew that I would be, in the world's view, a failure again. And so I really have just a lot of respect for her choice on that. And then for Sarah to have her last baby, I have a dear friend that's adopted a little boy with Downs, and I'll tell you what, those children are the most precious gifts from God that we can ever imagine. And we've all been told that we were created specifically for a purpose in Psalms 139, and our little babies that have those special gifts, as I like to call them, they have been created for something specifically special too.
I've always said Downs babies and things of that nature, and people getting these tests and then making decisions based on the test. I just have never understood that. I've always said, for me, the difference would just be between Little League and the Special Olympics, really.
Right.
So you just go from there. But, you mentioned about, we talked about Governor Palin and Bristol, being these public figures who have made these decisions. Do you think when folks like that come out and make these decisions, it helps? And do you think things are changing in this country? Because you said folks not married, pregnant at the time when you made your decision, you could be looked at as a failure. Are we changing there, where there's more of a support system and people are more accepting and understand, no, it's not a failure, it's a life?
Well, I hope we are. I hope we're making strides towards that. My prayer is that we as a society, and also, as a church, because I think there's this awakening also in our churches all around, especially with October Baby coming out, that we're starting to see that we really do need to start talking to the younger generation, and we really do need to start looking at, when a young woman or a young man makes when something happens like this in their lives, how do we come up behind them and support them and allow them to know, okay, this happened, but you're going to, choose life. We're going to help you with this. We're going to give you an opportunity to be a successful person. And we have to start doing that more. I think we have a long ways to go, but I'm very thankful that with Governor Palin and so many people out there that they are trying to make a difference, to make society take a step towards that. That's the only way we're going to make a change. And we need to have the heart of forgiveness and love and strength and support for these young people.
People think of the baby as the victim in abortion, and that is certainly the case, but that mother who makes that decision is also a victim, a living victim. We don't get that side of the story too much, so I think this is great about you speaking out and, talking to folks. You think you're going to help some girls along the line here who might be in that situation?
Well, thank you. I really hope so. I truly believe that I can help young women and young men that are coming along in these choices and saying, I really need to think about this. I need to take the time and sit back, and I need to really understand what's happening here mentally, physically, and spiritually. And, this decision that I make is a ripple effect. And how many people will be hurt by this decision that I make. And, and I think those are things that we're really trying to make aware to the public as well. We really need to look at this, what's physically going on with the women and mentally and how long they carry this burden. That's been the greatest thing in this film for me, is that I go to these screenings and I'm done, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm with this group of people and I'm listening to men and women talk about being post-abortive and talking about having an opportunity to heal and how they've not talked about it in 15, 25, 30 years and longer, and that, you can only imagine hearing these stories over and over again. So I'm just hoping, two things. One, that people are going to walk out and they're going to feel that sense of forgiveness. And two, that the people that are in that position right now where they're looking at making that decision, that they're going to stop and think about what they're doing.
I think you just answered my next question. I was going to say the movie as a whole, what your thoughts are, and why do people need to see this film later this month. There's also a special segment with you at the end of the movie?
There is a special piece, very interesting. We did a testimony video of mine last October. The Irwins asked me about it, and I said yes, and we really didn't think that it was, we thought people would see it, but had no idea that it was going to do what it's doing right now. And so what's happened through the screeners is that they've asked for this piece to be put onto the film. And so when people are sitting there watching the credits at the end, they actually get to hear my testimony and how the movie paralleled my life.
Well, we have had a lot of pro-life guests on this show, Shari, but you are special. What an incredible story, and you're very brave to make all this public. I'm sure it's been very tough in many ways, but I can tell you this, you're definitely helping other women, and like you said, men as well in similar situations. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm really excited, and I'm very honored that the Irwins would give me an opportunity to tell a story like this. And I'm excited for people to go in and sit there and laugh and cry and walk out and just be talking about a great film and all the emotional roller coaster that they get to go on March 23rd.
Shari Rigby, thank you so much for appearing on the Palin Update on SaranNet Radio. And again, your bravery is so inspiring. All the best to you with this film and to you personally as well.
Thank you.
What an amazing story. Shari Rigby, a very personal connection to this touching and important new film, October Baby. Again, the movie opens March 23rd. For tickets or for more information on October Baby, head to octoberbaby.net. The piece really drives home Psalm 139:16. You saw me before I was born. Just a powerful movie, and the rave reviews are already pouring in. Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the Susan B. Anthony list, which Governor Palin works very closely with, says, October Baby is a profoundly beautiful story and a powerful testament to the importance of every human life. Again, be sure to see it starting March 23rd. On the heels of the death of our friend Andrew Breitbart, Governor Palin wrote an article published on Big Government this past week praising Andrew and encouraging us to continue living out his mission, vetting President Obama. Palin writes, with the death of Breitbart, the conservative movement didn't just lose a general, we lost an entire special forces division. But he didn't leave us without the tools and the knowledge we need to fight. This website, Breitbart 2.0, is the culmination of his study of the technology and aesthetics of new media. The governor then goes on to push for the vetting of Obama, something the mainstream media failed to do in 2008 or before or since. So Governor Palin is calling on we the people to pick up the slack. One of the best lines is, if the media had done their job of vetting him, we wouldn't be astonished to see all the billion-dollar green energy kickbacks going to his campaign cronies as the nation heads towards bankruptcy. If the media had done their job of vetting him, we wouldn't be surprised that Obama brought these same Chicago pay-to-play practices to the White House. Really an interesting and profound piece from Governor Palin. To see the entire article, just go to biggovernment.com. Well, The Undefeated aired on Reels this past week, and the Stephen K. Bannon masterpiece was met with cheers and applause. Palin fans loving it, of course, and many who were lukewarm on the governor have been won over. If you missed it or want to see it again, The Undefeated will air on Reels March 25th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Go to Reels.com for more information. That's Reels, REELZ.com. And the ridiculous HBO Palin spoof Game Change also aired. It didn't draw as many viewers as the network expected. The film, of course, was praised by the left, but that ridiculousness was quickly snuffed out by Mark Levin and others who called it what it really is, lies and fiction. How any critics can actually praise Julianne Moore's performance is perhaps the biggest head-scratcher. Her over-the-top accent is really just silly and seems like a comedy routine, not an honest portrayal of the governor at all. The truth is coming out, though, thanks to The Undefeated and Levin and Palin supporters like you. Continue to spread the word about cowards like Steve Schmidt and Nicole Wallace, and continue to spread the true message and record of Sarah Palin. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. Visit SarahNetRadio.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, follow us on Twitter at SarahNet Radio, and we are now on Facebook, so please like SarahNet Radio on Facebook. And if you want one of our new SarahNet Radio bumper stickers, just email us. Send your name and address to WhipSamart. That's WHIPSAMART at AOL.com, and we'll send you one of our great-looking new stickers. I want to thank everyone here at SarahNet Radio. Thanks to Shari Rigby, and thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us next time for another edition of the Palin Update. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.